In today's fast-paced world, we are constantly bombarded with stress, distractions, and emotional turbulence. It seems like everyone is trying to accomplish more, go faster, and juggle a million tasks at once. But in the midst of this chaotic life, something insidious is stealing our peace without us even realizing it. Ellen G. White, a prominent spiritual leader and writer, warned about the dangers of the things that, although seemingly harmless, can quietly rob us of the peace that God intends for us to have. This silent thief is worry, the endless cycle of anxiety and fear that grips the mind and soul. Worrying about the future, stressing over things we cannot control, and constantly thinking about what-ifs slowly deteriorates our mental and spiritual peace. Ellen White clearly taught that worry not only affects our mental and emotional health, but also disconnects us from the trust and peace that God offers. In her writings, she emphasized how this subtle, destructive habit can lead to a life full of anxiety and restlessness, robbing us of our ability to fully experience the peace that Christ promised. The troubling part is that many of us don't even realize how much worry has taken over our lives. We think it's normal to be constantly concerned about everything, our families, our work, our health, and the future. But as Ellen White pointed out, this kind of mental burden prevents us from living fully and peacefully in the present moment. It also hinders our connection with God. Worry tells God that we don't trust Him, and when we focus on our fears instead of His promises, we lose sight of the peace He gives. In this video, we will dive deep into how worry has become the silent trap stealing our peace, and how we can break free from it by following the principles Ellen White shared. Let's explore how to stop worrying, trust in God, and regain the peace that is rightfully ours. Worry is a powerful emotion, and it doesn't take much to start. It can begin with a small thought, a concern about your job, your health, or your relationships. Then, without realizing it, that small thought grows, expands, and takes over your mind. Before you know it, what started as a minor worry becomes an ongoing source of anxiety, and your peace starts slipping away. Ellen White, in her writings, warned about the power of worry and how it subtly creeps into our lives, affecting our overall well-being. According to her, worry is not just a fleeting feeling, but a persistent state of mind that disturbs our spiritual and mental health. It has the ability to cloud our judgment, create unnecessary stress, and cause physical ailments such as headaches, insomnia, and even digestive problems. In her book, Ministry of Healing, Ellen White explains how chronic anxiety can weaken the body's resistance to disease, making us more vulnerable to illness. This constant state of worry also negatively affects our relationships. When we are consumed with anxiety, we struggle to be present with others. We become irritable, impatient, and distant because our minds are preoccupied with the things we fear or are uncertain about. Ellen White spoke about how worry can prevent us from living in harmony with others, creating tension and conflict. When we focus on our fears, we fail to see the beauty in the present and the blessings that God has already given us. But perhaps the most devastating effect of worry, as Ellen White pointed out, is its impact on our relationship with God. When we worry, we are essentially telling God that we don't trust Him with our problems. We forget that He is the one who is in control, and we take matters into our own hands. This anxiety-filled mindset disrupts our spiritual peace and keeps us from relying on God's promises. In her writings, Ellen White offers a solution to this trap. She teaches that when we surrender our worries to God and trust Him fully, we can experience true peace. By living in the present moment and focusing on His promises, we can release our fears and regain the peace that surpasses all understanding. Worry, according to Ellen White, is not just a mental or emotional issue. It is a spiritual problem that deeply affects our connection with God. She explained that when we worry, we are essentially doubting God's ability to provide for us and take care of our needs. This lack of trust in God can be spiritually detrimental because it places us in a state of constant unrest and discontent. Ellen White often emphasized the importance of faith and trust in God as central to Christian living. She explained that faith is not just believing in God's existence, but fully trusting in His plan and His ability to take care of us, no matter the circumstances. When we give in to worry, we undermine that trust and lose sight of the strength and peace that faith can provide. Worry can lead us to a place of spiritual doubt, where we question God's goodness and His promises. In Steps to Christ, Ellen White writes, "Worry is blind and cannot discern the future, but Jesus sees the end from the beginning." This quote illustrates that worry clouds our vision, preventing us from seeing God's hand at work in our lives. When we focus on our fears, we become spiritually blind to the many ways in which God is already working to help us. Worry shifts our attention from the blessings we have to the perceived problems, which robs us of gratitude and peace. Furthermore, Ellen White warns that worrying can lead to spiritual exhaustion. As Christians, we are called to trust in God and rest in His peace. However, when we are consumed by anxiety, we find ourselves spiritually drained, unable to fully rest in God's presence. This lack of rest and peace can interfere with our ability to grow spiritually and enjoy a close, trusting relationship with God. She also encourages us to take all our worries and burdens to God in prayer. Ellen White writes, "Cast all your cares upon Him, for He cares for you." By surrendering our anxieties to God, we are acknowledging that we cannot control everything, and we are placing our trust in His ability to lead and guide us. This act of surrender opens the door to spiritual peace, which is vital for maintaining a strong relationship with God. The good news is that it's possible to break free from the trap of worry, and Ellen White provides clear guidance on how to regain peace in our lives. While worry may feel like an uncontrollable force, it can be overcome with a combination of faith, trust, and disciplined thinking. Ellen White teaches us that one of the first steps to overcoming worry is to surrender our concerns to God. When we continually bring our anxieties before Him in prayer, we are expressing our trust that He will take care of us. In her writings, she emphasized the power of prayer and how it can bring peace to the troubled soul. By setting aside time to pray and cast our cares upon God, we begin to release the burden of worry and experience a deep sense of relief. Another powerful principle Ellen White advocates is the importance of focusing on the present. Worry often arises from focusing on future uncertainties and what-ifs. Ellen White encouraged believers to focus on living one day at a time and to trust God with the future. She pointed to Matthew 6:34, where Jesus says, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." By trusting in God for today and living in the moment, we break free from the endless cycle of worry. Ellen White also spoke about the importance of faith in overcoming anxiety. Faith allows us to trust that God is in control, even when things seem uncertain. When we strengthen our faith through Scripture and prayer, we can face life's challenges without being consumed by worry. She encouraged believers to meditate on God's promises and remind themselves of His faithfulness, as this strengthens our confidence in His ability to provide and protect. Lastly, gratitude plays a key role in overcoming worry. When we focus on the blessings we have and cultivate a thankful heart, worry loses its grip. Ellen White urged Christians to continually give thanks to God for what He has already done and for His promise to always be with us. In conclusion, the trap of worry is a silent thief that steals our peace and robs us of the abundant life God intends for us. Ellen White's writings provide us with timeless wisdom on how to deal with anxiety and regain the peace that God promises. Through prayer, trust in God, focusing on the present, strengthening our faith, and cultivating gratitude, we can break free from the cycle of worry. Worry may be an inevitable part of life, but it doesn't have to control us. As Ellen White reminds us, we can choose to surrender our anxieties to God and trust in His ability to guide us through life's uncertainties. By following the principles she shared, we can find peace in the midst of chaos and live fully in the presence of God. Let us commit to casting our worries upon Him and experiencing the peace that only He can give. God is faithful, and He will never leave us nor forsake us. Trusting in His promises is the key to overcoming worry and living in the peace that surpasses all understanding. We don't have to carry the burden of anxiety. We can leave it at the feet of Jesus and walk in His peace every day.